necessary. They have been every time so far for me. When I was asked to speak today, I pondered over the best way to honor my friend. So what I did is I sat down on my computer, I imagined Loren sitting beside me. And then I thought of my memories of it. Just to let you know, I know that some of you are very astute. You might notice that this is not the hat that Loren wore all the time, but it is his. I feel sorry for the Kim family because I probably scared them to death this morning as I was digging around in Harrison's house trying to find this hat. But I figured it would be there somewhere. This is his special hat. The hat that he only wore on special occasions, so I figured it was okay to bring it today. I started out in tears in my eyes as I tried to think of how to honor my dear friend. And I miss him so very much. But you know, as I let those memories flow over me, my sadness diminished as I realized that the man I'm here to honor today is basically a nut. When people come together to honor someone, they tend to focus on the things they did well. And with that in mind, I thought it would be a good idea for me to focus on Loren's faults. Because, like any man, Loren had many faults. But I want to pick on some of the ones that really, really stand out. And you folks didn't live next to Loren. Most of you didn't. And I had the joy of doing that. But fault number one for Loren was that he was way too cheerful. I'm not a morning person, and those of you who have come into the infirmary in the morning know that, oh man, Mr. Carter, bless your heart. I would come stumbling in, eyes all puffy and hair all askew, and just hopefully find a place where I could just sit and wake up, and hopefully nobody would bother me. And I would hear whistling down the hallway, and I would go, oh please, no. And he would walk in the room, and his face would light up, and a big smile would hit his face, and he'd go, good morning, sunshine! Do I look like sunshine to you? I mean, really? You know, but even I couldn't stay grumpy very long with him throwing cheerfulness all over the place. It was frustrating living with such a cheerful morning person. But it was a blessing too, and I could not help but laugh after I woke up. And then there would be the times when he would come in the evening, and I'd been working during the day, and I was tired and ready to go home, and he would come in and burst through the front door of the infirmary with that big black hat on, some ridiculous scrubs on, and he would say, is this where the fun is? Are you kidding? This is the infirmary. What are you thinking? Until you get here, of course. And then I would be trying to finish up my charting for the day, and I know that he has done this to some of you. I hope he has done this to some of you. He would come up to me and gently sneak up behind me and start tapping my arm as I'm trying to write it. Does this make it hard to write when I do this? No, this is great. So I'm going to blame all of my poor charting on him. Loren's second fault. Loren was way too humble. I could never catch the man bragging, even when he had a right to. There were many times when I would go in and try to draw blood for lab work, or I would be trying to stick an IV and I would miss. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happened, Loren would go in, and I'm just comforting you that if you come in to get blood work drawn, I don't miss very often. When I would miss, Loren would go in, and I mean, like 30 seconds later, he'd come out. He didn't look smug, he didn't look, you know, he just was calm. My jaw would drop, and he'd draw up, and he'd go, you know, you missed the very best vein. It was right there. If you'd seen that one, you would have gotten it first off. You wouldn't think that he was like the best in the world, which he was. He was way, way too humble. Loren's third fault. Loren was way, way too kind. He thought that a day off meant that he would pile a bunch of folks in his car and drive them to Nairobi, or that he would help somebody dig a pit in their house, in their backyard, that they would help paint their house. Or like Esther said, he would cram 16 sick kids in his house for a couple of weeks, because you know, that was just what he did. And when I thought people were taking advantage of him, he didn't really care. And he would look at me and he'd say, oh, you did the same thing for me. And I was thinking, Fault number 4. Loren cared for people more than he did money or stuff. How on earth do you expect to get ahead in this world if you give away your money and you lend out your stuff and you don't remember who you lent it to? And that's the way Loren was all the time. And I'm sure that drove Vicki absolutely nuts, except she was the same way. It was just the way they were. So Loren's faults, quite honestly, are too numerous for me to list. However, if I get through this part without crying, God listed them very clearly in His Word. If you want to take a look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 13, you'll see Loren's faults clearly listed one after another. Right under the heading, L-O-V-E. So what did God do with such a faulty, messed up man? You know what He did. He changed lives. He changed my life. He changed your lives. He changed the lives of hundreds of people that you and I don't even know all around the world. He saved lives through Loren. Loren was an excellent nurse. His clinical skills were amazing. I don't know if you know or not, but he spent a lot of time as a flight nurse. Flying a helicopter, which is the last ditch. When people call the helicopter, it's pretty serious. And he saved many lives there. What else did he do? He took 2 little boys and made them no longer orphans. He taught tons and tons of kids what it's like to be a godly man. He gave me a friend, and many of you, a friend that we will never ever forget. He brightened days. Generally a whole lot better. So now, I aim for Vicki and her kids like you do. A few days ago, I wrote an email to Jackie Besley, and I'd like to share that what I wrote, a little bit of what I wrote to you in closing, or what I wrote to her for you in closing. Vicki and her kids are 8,000 miles away from us. And I think that for those of us who love them, that is terribly difficult. There's so very little any of us can do for our dear friends as they suffer so cruelly. Very little, that is, except to pray. But what a wonderful, powerful thing it is to pray. I realized that the night that Loren died, that with prayer, the Lord was able to cross those thousands of miles and touch the Harrisons with all the love that we can bring to bear. As a matter of fact, through my prayers, the Lord worked out and put Loren's death in its proper place in my mind. Not as a tragedy that it felt like at that time, but as a victory for a life so very well lived. And I also realized that I could, through those agonizing prayers of those last nights before he died, find not only resolution to the unanswerable question of why. I could find peace and even joy in the loss of my dear friend. I realized that I, of course, never really lost him at all. I felt even envious because he got there first. Loren has already heard the words, seen the face, and felt the touch that all of us long to see and feel and hear. So I long so very much for the day when this sadness that we feel right now, and all sadness will be wiped away. And I long even greater now for eternity. I've lost a dear friend, and so have you. But we can be even a little bit envious because Loren doesn't have to ask, is this where the fun is? Because he knows he's there now. I didn't